Conference. Okay, so we've saved the worst to last, and I'm here to talk to you about an open source project that I've been working on called Omnisharp. I don't know if anybody's actually heard of it or not. Oh, so we do like it. So you all already know about it, and I can go and sit down and have a beer. Okay, yeah, right, okay. So I've been working on this project called Omnisharp now for about the past 6 months, and I think it's a pretty exciting project. I think we're doing some kind of really interesting stuff with it, and yeah, I hope you guys will like it. Now, the next slide is me telling you exactly what it is, but you already know what it is. It's a series of tools and extensions to help you work with C# outside of Visual Studio. We all love Visual Studio, and yeah, but I'm willing to bet if you're like me, that at some point in your career you've gone, right, I'm not using Visual Studio anymore, I'm going to go use a text editor. And you've closed down Visual Studio, and you've opened up the text editor, and you've typed at it for about half an hour, and you've gone, God damn, this thing doesn't have IntelliSense. And C# is quite a complex language. It's designed to be used with IntelliSense, and you're going to struggle without it. So Omnisharp is our attempt at solving this problem. It was first started back in 2011 by a guy called Jason Imson. This is Jason. He's really going to appreciate this. So I will stay on this side for as long as possible. Now, he started his project back in 2011. Now, Jason is a Vim user. As is with all Vim users don't like to step outside of Vim. But he wanted to write C# code. So he wanted all the good stuff like IntelliSense, refactorings, code navigation, this sort of stuff that you use in day-to-day basis. So he built an extension in Vim, and he didn't tell anybody about it. A couple of people found out about it, but not many. Then about, maybe a year ago, somebody attempted to do the same sort of thing, but with Sublime. A guy called Syed also produced helped with an extension called Culture. I don't know if you guys have seen Culture, which was running VNext, and that kind of got a bit of interest in, the whole idea of developing C# code outside of Visual Studio. And it got us interested. It was me and a few other guys, and we got together and we formed a GitHub organization, GitHub, where all open source software lives. And after 6 months, we now have extensions for some of the most popular text editors. So we now have extensions for Sublime, Atom, Brackets, Vim if you're crazy, Emacs if you're even crazier. Yeah, we think we've got something really good. But I could rabbit on about this, but what I really want to do is show you it. I'm going to attempt now to exit out of this and go into Sublime. Who uses Sublime here? God damn, everybody uses Sublime. Who uses Atom? Who uses Who's heard of Brackets? Oh, see, less people have heard of Brackets. Oh my God. All right, okay, fair enough. I may or may not work on the Brackets extension. So this is Sublime. To install Omnisharp, it's the same story with all of the text editors. Most of them have got package manager of some kind. Sublime's got one. I think it's called. That's the wrong key binding. I can't get the right key binding. There we go. It's got one called Package Control. I assume because you all use Sublime, you know how to download it. You can go to the install package and search for Omnisharp. Omnisharp. And it would come up, but I've already got it installed. So that's the installation process. In actual fact, with this copy of Sublime, I've also downloaded another package called C# Snippets, which I reckon you should look up as well. It's not part of our project, but it helps with things like snippets for if statements, for loops, and all this sort of goodness, which is great. So here I've got an incredibly complex piece of code. I think you'll all agree. If I attempt to save this, you'll see this little pop-up appear at the bottom of the editor, and it's complaining about some errors. So this is one of the first things that Omnisharp does, is it will actually look at your code file and interrogate it and find some errors. Here it seems to be complaining about a list. We're missing a list, and you'll also see we've got it underlining products. Now this is because it's missing a using statement. Now it can be a real pain to remember what using statement, what classes live in which using statements. So we have an option here in the Omnisharp menu, which has got all our refactorings and all our code navigations, to use something called fix usings. And if I click on that, you can see it adds in the right using statement. It's pretty good, right? Well, okay. Thank you. Yeah. So That doesn't make it great, though, does it? So I've got this. If I save that now, yeah, you'll see it's got rid of some of the errors, and we've just got warnings. It's not great, so let's write a bit of code. So this class is just a shopping cart class. It doesn't do anything too impressive. I'll shrink this down a bit. You just can add a product to it, and you can get the total. So let's write the getTotal method. Okay. So what we can do here is we can go if tab. This is where the code snippets come in that I recommend. In fact, I don't want to write that. I want to write for each, and I want to say for each var product tab, and then I want to iterate around every collection within the products menu. So if I type underscore there, you'll see it comes up with a code completion option. Okay. Now, this is a true IntelliSense. There's a distinction that you need to make between code completions and IntelliSense. Because in Sublime you get code completions anyway, but it really just looks through your code file and looks for some symbols and populates it with that. This Omnisharp is actually doing an analysis of the entire library, all your referenced assemblies, and comes back with list options. Granted, there's only one here, but there we go. So we can say products tab, and we can say for each product we want total. You see it's coming up again. Equals total plus product dot, and there we can see all of the properties and methods on the product class. So it's true IntelliSense. And we want to say cost, which is decimal. Yeah? You can save that. Got rid of some errors, some warnings. Write a bit more code. We've got to convert to dollars here, so we'll just say if convert to dollars total equals total times, and I think it's about 1.5. We're going to say it's 1.5. It's probably worse than that for us British, but there we go. And there we go. Oh, we've got an error. It's a decimal. So there we go. That shows you some of the IntelliSense stuff. That stuff's good. That's the stuff everybody needs. This is one that sold me. But we've got other stuff as well. What's the one tool that everybody uses with Visual Studio? ReSharper, exactly. You can't coding now, programming now is basically just pressing Alt Enter, Alt Enter, Alt Enter. I mean, it basically writes itself. We don't know anything. So for it to be any good, we need to be able to write. We need to have refactorings as well. Now, because I'm all about clean code and what have you, this is obviously a very complex method function here. We maybe want to extract it out. Try again. Into its own method. So this is where code actions come in. It's the same sort of thing in ReSharper. We've even got the same binding. If we click on that, it'll bring up a couple of refactorings that we can perform on that section of code. Extract method and remove the if statements. Remove the braces from the if statement. So let's execute extract method. And there we go. Just pulled it out of a method. Let's pull it out of our method, create a new method, and give it a name. But that's a rubbish name. So let's rename it. Let's call it convert to dollars. And that changes the name. Again, these are the sort of refactorings you get with ReSharper. We've now got them in your favorite text editor, which is great because you can get rid of Visual Studio now if you want. What else do we have? This code is a bit of a mess, so let's format document, which is what everybody should do before they check into Git. If I don't, I'm going to get very annoyed because it always leaves me some nasty merges, and I'll complain and moan. So what we're doing here is we're basically providing you with a Visual Studio environment outside of Visual Studio. So yeah, it's pretty good. Now, that's not the only part of a project. You'll notice that this is an old school or current school project solution. You've still got the solution file and you've still got the CS proj files. I assume you all know about vNext now. Yeah? And the new way of doing it, we've got the whole project.json and that sort of structure. Right? We're getting rid of the solution file, which is a horrible mess when you ever have to merge code and so on and so forth. So we also provide an environment where you can work in vNext as well. But to help with that, we have a series of generators. Have you guys heard of Yeoman? Is that pronounced right? I'm pretty certain it is, yeah. I can never, yeah. So, for those of you who don't know about Yeoman, it's a scaffolding tool. It allows you to generate up project structures for any number of things. And we've got God knows how many different sort of generators. And we've created one for the VNext projects. So, to do that, the first thing you need to do is install Yeoman. And Yeoman is part of the, you get it as part of the Node package manager. So, I can type npm install yo. I'm brave we have a reasonable internet connection. There we go. That's installed yo. And then we need to install the generator. Now our generator is called generator ASP.NET. We'll install it globally. Do you guys, ever have this situation when you're in the office and you're typing away and you're happy and somebody will come up behind you and start looking at your code and all of a sudden you completely lose the ability to type? Yeah, it's like that for me as well. So I've now installed Yeoman, I've now installed the generator. And what we can do is we can use this generator to create a new project structure. So we can go yo ASP.NET. ASCII art, who doesn't love it? Now, when you type that in, what we do is we provide you with a list of application types that you can create. This is basically your file new project that you get in Visual Studio. Empty application, console application, you name it, they're all there. So we'll create a web application. It's asking for a name, so we'll call it .NET. I have no idea why it's doing that. Why is it doing that? Okay, whatever. .NET Fringe. And what this will do is it will scaffold up, which you can just not see, in fact. Let's go item, preferences, profile, text. Let's make it sensible size. You guys can still see that okay, yeah? Yeah, okay. That's better. And what this does is it will pull down, it will scaffold out a brand new web application with all the usual stuff that you'd expect to see when this exactly the same action is performed through Visual Studio. We can navigate into this. And as it says at the bottom there, we can run kpm restore. If you don't know, kpm is a new command line NuGet thing that they're changing the name of again to is it DNX or DNU? Or is it DNU? It'll be changed by next week anyway, so I wouldn't bother trying to remember it, for sure. So we can run kpm restore. Uncomfortable silence. Pulls down all the packages. This is taking a little longer than I wanted it to. There we go. Let's pull down all the packages and then we can call kestrel. And that should run it. Okay. Go to here. You'll see that it's scaffolded up and created exactly the same template that you get from Visual Studio, which is pretty useful. And we also have sub-generators as well for things like exit. There we go. Yo, ASP.NET MVC. Like so. That'll create a new controller. Oh, I should probably call it controller, but there we go. And, this is kind of, again, with the whole aim of Omnisharp is helping with your working outside of Visual Studio. Right. So that stuff's pretty cool. I mean, do you think anybody would use it? Yeah, I mean, it's all right. So, demo time. So how does it work? This is kind of interesting, and I think it's pretty simple and it's effective. It's actually all the editors have two sections. There is the editor extension, which is written using the editor, custom editor plugins and so on and what have you. Then we have something which is called the Omnisharp server, which is actually, it's a server, it's a local HTTP server, but it gets pulled down with all the packages and it sits there. You can set it to run with giving it a solution, and it will expose a series of endpoints for querying the code. So there's ones such as, I can actually bring this up. Oh, I'll show it at the end. So there'll be one for getting IntelliSense, and you'll pass in a section of code, a cursor position, and our server will actually interrogate the code and pull back a list of sections, completions. There's currently two versions at the moment. There's version 1, which was written using nrefactory and Nancy. So nrefactory is a static analysis library, but was written a while back and is used in MonoDevelop and Sharp. Is it Sharp Develop? It's Sharp Develop, isn't it? But we're also writing a new one now, which is going to be using the new Roslyn API, which is really good that Microsoft have done that. It made our job a lot easier for sure. And that's written using Web API. The future. This project is very much in development. I don't know if any of you guys have actually tried to use it yet, but you'll know that it's not always the most robust, but we are working on that. We're looking at adding some new features to the servers. We wanted more refactorings, more code navigation options, and all that good stuff. We wanted to write more editor extensions, so some guys have been asking about Webstorm, whether we can write an extension for Webstorm. We're looking into doing that, which would be great. And also, if it is an editor that you guys kind of like and you want to write an extension for, you can, because of this because we've got this web server. Everything sits on top of that. It's great. We're also looking at better support for VNext projects. One of the things we're working on currently is IntelliSense for the project JSON files, because JSON's great and all, but IntelliSense on those, so bringing back a list of packages that you can actually install and so on and so forth as part of the project.json file. We're also looking at automatically pulling down these NuGet packages when you save that file, little bits and pieces like that to try and improve the whole scenario. And also, you'll have heard about this at some point this week, I imagine, scripts.cs. Yeah? We're looking at actually building in scripts.cs support. So if you are working on scripts.cs packages and actually using the scripts.cs scripting language, you'll get IntelliSense and all that goodness as part of that, which is one of the things that's kind of been missing from it at the moment. And lots of other stuff. Standard in, standard out, better test runner support, so you'll be able to pick a test runner and all this sort of stuff. Now, because of the kind of like the message behind this whole conference, I kind of want to just put a bit of a shout out to these guys. So this project did start off as one guy, and it was a slow burner. I think we can agree. It's been 5 years before anybody's heard about it. But since then, we've had quite a lot of people getting involved in this, and it's good to recognise these people. They've put in a lot of effort. If anybody came to the Nancy talk, you'll notice the second from the right on the top there, Mr. Jonathan Shannon. He got a little bit of fame yesterday. And yeah, and if you want to get involved, that's our website, omnisharp.net. We have a Jabber room. Have you guys used Jabber before? Yeah, the chat client. We've got a room in there because of the crazy times that Jason and David Fowler keep. There's pretty much always somebody in there 24 hours a day. I swear to God, those guys don't sleep. We've got our GitHub repo, and we've also got our Twitter handle. So if you want to get involved, come get involved. We're very open guys, and we are really looking for kind of feedback on this sort of stuff, so we know where to take it. Really, at the moment we've got this idea and we want to make it something great, but we need your guys' feedback so we know exactly what to do. And that's my talk. So, any questions, I guess? Yep.
I got a question on the Yeoman generator.
Yep.
So there isn't really like a generator framework for Dotnet in the way that there is for Node and Yeoman.
Yep.
A generator framework says that you didn't actually have to install Node to actually run the generator.
Yeah, I mean, I could see an argument for that. So the question is, should there be a generator tool specifically for .NET? Maybe, but I mean, some of the changes made with this new vNext structure is they're putting a large emphasis on tooling like Bower and all these other things that sit on top of NPN. So I don't know. Yeoman does a pretty good job. I'd be happy to keep it. Any other questions? Yeah.
Probably a stupid one, but is there any known challenges if you're developing a kind of Mac and then someone opens the solution and develops on a Windows box and kind of trading back and forth?
Not really, no. I mean, the vNext stuff is pretty good. One of the problems we do have with the current style of solutions is we don't have a way of generating it, and you do have to add files into the CS projects when you add them, but we have tooling for that as well. So I work in Omnisharp and at work, and I have people who work in Visual Studio, and we've never had any problems now. So, yep. Yep. Yeah, we are actually the current implementation of the V1 is what I showed there, and that has got the code actions on for extracting methods and so on and so forth. We are implementing it like for like in Roslyn at the moment, but because of how Roslyn is built, we should be able to extend it to do so much more. So it's good, but yeah. Yep. Sorry, say again, please. It's been discussed, for sure. Yeah, we're in talk with some guys from the F# team. It's not definite yet, but it's been discussed. Anybody else? Okay, thank you.